One night in 2017, Star City residents returning from work observed a strange phenomenon. It was a heavy downpour, but unlike normal rain, there was something wrong with it that scared people. A guy with a guitar stands outside his store regretting that he should have checked the weather forecast before heading out. Even so, he enjoys the view as he watches the women running. He then decides to go back to work. But as he sits down he notices that his cat is napping. Seeing this he grabs it by the tail and orders it to stop idling and be more professional. The cat retracts its claws in rage to attack him but has to back off since he said there would be no food if they didn't work. When the cat realizes this, its expression changes completely and it shows a sign. Some girl meanwhile throws a few coins on the cat's head. He looks at her and asks what song she would like him to sing, when suddenly a flash of lightning blinds him, and on opening his eyes he notices that the girl, on the contrary, is about to enter a building at the entrance of which lie numerous corpses. She looks at Restain's watch and activates the detection system. She then enters the building and heads straight for the computer control room. Ignoring the dead bodies around her, she notices the computer is still running. While she is looking at the computer, she is ambushed from behind by a zombie-like creature. The girl turns sharply and grabs the zombie's arm, knocking it to the ground. A gas appears from the zombie's mouth and a laser beam aimed at the girl. Without wasting time, the girl activates God's invasion and a barrier suddenly appears in front of her, protecting her from the beams. The next morning, as Singh was getting ready for school, he asked his aunt and uncle for money for a school trip, but his aunt pounces on him, claiming that she just laid it all out already. Uncle tries to calm her down by explaining that going to school is a once-a-year event, whereupon he assures GU that he will somehow arrange the money, disappointing GU. GU leaves the house screaming that he doesn't want to leave. His aunt warns him that she gave him a credit card to pay his bills and that he should refrain from trying to do anything funny. As he leaves he hears her insulting him and that she would have kicked him out if it wasn't for his grandmother. Afterward, sitting alone outside his apartment door solving a Rubik's Cube, he thinks about his future. He recalled how the kids at school bullied him, called him a savage, and when GU tried to object, one of them pushed him away, saying he was just a feral kid that no one wanted in the house. At this time his grandmother appears on the scene and they all run away. GU starts crying and tells her that people are laughing at him, saying he was picked up on the street and that he is a feral child that no one wants, but his grandmother reassures him that he is her previous grandson. He has 4 uncles who will take care of him. Then she hands him a Rubik's Cube and offers to give him a piggyback ride home. His spirits lift and he asks his grandmother to sing a song for him, to which she agrees and they return home. However, after a while, grandma dies and all the uncles start fighting over who is who. My grandmother left a will stating that they would have to care for him if they wanted any share of the inheritance. Eventually it was decided that they would take turns caring for him for a year. After all this, he heads to his school and on the way he stops by the hospital where his great-uncle is lying. At the hospital he notices his uncle talking to the nurses about some media in Shanghai. His uncle also notices him and asks him questions. Just as GU was about to answer him, his uncle interrupts him, stating that his other uncle must have told him to visit him. There will be renovations next month, and he wants him to tell him that he is not coming on behalf of his second uncle, who reassures the big uncle and assures him that he can visit whenever he wants. That he is annoyed with his second uncle as he keeps trying to make excuses even though they agreed on 1 year. GU, upon hearing this, changes his mind and tells his uncle that he was just passing by and wanted to see him. His uncle apologizes to him saying that he is very busy this afternoon and will invite him for lunch another day. Meanwhile the mysterious girl we saw in the beginning comes out of the elevator and runs into GU, who walks up to the elevator and suddenly feels an excruciating pain in his chest and eats on the floor. And at the same time the cable of the elevator he was about to enter breaks apart with the elevator falling to the ground. People gathered, commenting that even before that, the elevator was defective and had not been fixed properly. GU is glad that he managed to run out of the elevator at the last moment, otherwise he would have died, and at that moment his phone starts ringing. He picks up the phone and notices that Lu Yang is calling him. This annoys him and he rejects the call, perplexed as to why he is bothering him as he walks back to school. On the way he chats with Lu Yang who asks him why he hung up on him. This annoys GU even more, and he retorts that his name is not Samwig Lu Yang, then tells him that the morning self-training class is already over. In response he says it's none of her business and gets on the bus. As he gets off the bus and talks he notices a poster that says a game that says anyone can win $666 if they commit 5 kills in it. That got him interested and he went into the arcade. thinking that he could use the money to go on a trip by asking the owner about the game. The host's wife starts yelling at him for this ridiculous suggestion, but the host somehow manages to convince Ji-yu, and when he pulls out a credit card to pay, the dean of faculty appears out of nowhere and snatches the card. And in the next instant is already making a lap around Brown's school, carrying his desk on his shoulders. Dean chases him on his bike. As he is running, he suddenly stumbles and falls to the ground, at which time the girl who was watching all this comes up to him and asks what he is doing. The dean, in turn, starts yelling at Ji-yu, objecting to him skipping school and hanging around the arcade, threatening to call his father, even though Ji-yu tells him that his father is on a business trip. The dean still insists and warns him that his father must visit the school today or there could be serious consequences. When Ji-yu is about to say something, a girl intervenes and asks him about the song she asked him to download. When asked by the dean, the girl replies that the school computer lab is down due to hacker problems and they had to download songs from an internet cafe so she could send them to her teacher. Then she turns her attention to Ji-yu, again asking about the songs, to which Ji-yu replies in the negative. The girl then asks him to put the desk back where it belongs, but he, though slightly annoyed by this, complies, picks up the desk, going back to his office. Ji-yu asks the girl about this music teacher's lie, to which she replies that you should look at the huge slogan next to it. The girl winks at Ji-yu and they continue walking. Meanwhile, the mysterious girl who confronted Ji-yu at the hospital is watching the whole thing from a rooftop. In conversation, the girl asks him if she can at least hear a thank you, to which he expresses his gratitude. As he continues walking, the girl stops him by grabbing his shirt and asks if they can visit Mount Hank together. Hearing this, he pushes her away, saying she shouldn't bother him unnecessarily. While eating lunch alone in class, a girl comes up to him again and offers to eat, stating that she is on a diet and you should eat her lunch. He asks her to throw it away if she won't eat it, but the girl insists, saying it will be for nothing, which infuriates Ji-yu and he yells at her. In the midst of all this, a happy guy appears in front of all her classmates, embarrassing her. He questions Ji-yu about his relationship with his girlfriend, who tells him to stop fantasizing as nothing exists between them. However, this guy insists, claiming that they were always together some time ago. Ji-yu replied that it's all because of those gossipers who have no idea what this guy is talking about. Regarding these gossips, the guy tells him that most people think that Yuk-sing is a handsome guy living off a woman who denies all these allegations, saying that he is not like that. However, the other guy continues the conversation. The fault is that Lu Yan's family is rich, and who doesn't want a rich girl? This makes him very angry and he asks him to stop. They talk about it since nothing is going on between them. Upon hearing this, the guy asks if he can borrow Lu Yang. Some days they become friends, which further infuriates Ji-yu when he punches a guy in the face with a lunchbox and knocks him down. He falls to the ground, and when he gets up, he asks if he's crazy and that there's definitely something going on here. Between him and Lu Yang, other students stood up when they saw this, thinking that Ji-yu was constantly causing trouble for everyone. Hearing his noise, the teacher enters the classroom and orders the students to gather on the playground as they are about to go to Hunk Mountain, but Lu's friends somehow convince her to avoid the whole thing and stay away. When everyone leaves, she asks if he's really not going to which Ji-yu is silent, and Lu Yang leaves. He sits all alone in the classroom with a blank expression on his face, and thinks to himself that they belong to two different worlds and shouldn't have met. They first became friends a year ago when they sat talking at a Christmas party. She is sitting alone in the classroom and suddenly the door opens. Ji-yu emerges from it and informs her that the party has already started. She reports that she cannot attend the party because she accidentally twisted her ankle and it is now swollen. He asks her if everything is okay, to which Lu responds by asking what he is waiting for and that he should come and help her. Upon hearing this, he leaves his Rubik's Cube on the table and walks over to Lu to hold out his hand to her. He advises her to call her father and ask him to pick her up early, but Lu tells him that's not the case. Her father has no time to attend to her, and then he asks her a question about the man who gave her a ride on her first day of school, to which Lu replies that it was the chauffeur, that he had been paying attention to her the whole time. She also agrees that she does the same and points out the similarities between them as both their parents are constantly absent from parent-teacher conferences. Lu asks Ji-yu about the things she sees him solve every day, and he tells her that it's known as the Rubik's 3x3 puzzle and suggests she try to solve it. Lu hesitates, saying she doesn't know how to play. Ji-yu tells her that he will teach her. As they talk, fireworks begin to flash outside the window, and they both marvel at how beautiful they look. While Ji-yu is remembering all this, the door opens with a bang and a happy guy walks in. He yells and threatens Ji-yu, stating that this isn't over as the shirt Ji-yu ruined for him is an A-class product. Hearing this, Ji-yu gets furious. He asks him what he wants him to do, slamming his hand on the table. In response, the guy tells him that he doesn't want him to do anything and that he just wanted to let him know that he's not a rich guy like Lu. He warns him not to mention her name in his presence anymore. He claims that they must have broken up since he doesn't even participate in her farewell show, Keijuku. The guy tells him that Lu is transferring to another school. Commenting on the weather getting worse, the guy walks off. Ji-yu, in turn, immediately rushes to the ATM to withdraw money, calculating the cost of food for 6 months, and realizes that after paying for the trip, he will have no money for 2 months' supply of food and will be forced to live without food. After withdrawing the money, he rushes to the school to catch the bus for the trip, but when he gets to the school, he hears from the guard that the buses have already left. Hearing this, Ji-yu starts running, and on the run he mentally apologizes to Lu, saying that he doesn't hate her and that he was just afraid that people would laugh at him, afraid that Lu would hate him if he told her about his past, so he kept it a secret. Ji-yu jumps in front of the bus yelling, "Stop the bus," but the bus driver somehow manages to stop. The driver scolds Ji-yu for being reckless and asks about his occupation. Ji-yu apologizes and asks to be let in. As soon as Ji-yu gets on the bus, the teacher scolds him for his actions and the fact that everyone would suffer because of his action. The teacher asks him to find his seat and sit down. He looks around and notices that the seat next to Lu is vacant, so he sits down next to him, and Lu, seeing Ji-yu, is puzzled as to what he is up to. His phone rings while he's talking, and instead of picking it up, he puts it back in his pocket, continuing his conversation with Lu. The driver is ordering everyone to hold on when he loses control of the bus. The phone slips out of his hands and falls on the seat. At this time, the phone rings and his aunt starts yelling at him, calling him a jerk who hangs up on him. But his phone is stuck under the seat, and his aunt scolds him for using part of his credit card without permission. Ji-yu somehow manages to reach the phone and try to hang up, but the call button doesn't work. His aunt still berates him, calling him a thief who once stole money from his other aunt as well, that he's an ill-mannered brat and a jerk who no one wants and has been abandoned. Ji-yu smashes his phone in a rage. Ji-yu asks to open the door so he can leave, but the teacher tells him he can't just leave and gives him back the money, asking him to explain everything to his aunt. The driver is forced to stop the bus as Ji-yu gets off. He thinks to himself that this was bound to happen one day and accepts it. While he is sulking over this incident, the bus stops in the distance. Lu gets off of it and rushes over to Ji-yu. Ji-yu sees this and starts crying, asking Lu why she got off the bus. She tells him that the master asked her if she was crazy, that she is insane and needs to be treated. This makes Ji-yu cry even harder, claiming that he doesn't deserve Lu's sympathy. She calls him stupid and wipes away his tears, after which he thanks Lu and the two of them go to her apartment, where Ji-yu takes a shower and notices a picture of Lu with her parents when she was little. Reflecting on the fact that she was such a cute kid, Ji-yu sees Lu coming out of the shower and asks him what he's looking at. He immediately puts his hand down with the picture and is embarrassed. Lu asks him if she looked cute when she was little, to which Ji-yu replies in the negative. During their conversation, red smoke appears out of nowhere, surrounding the entire building. Lu even asks Ji-yu to take her in his arms. She wants him to take a shower, but Ji-yu refuses, stating that it would be awful if his father came home, but Lu insists that he take a shower. Let her not worry about anything as she lives alone, and she further tells him that her family used to be very poor and after the death of her mother, her father got depressed and blamed everything on himself, after which he shifted all his attention to making money, and meanwhile completely neglected his own daughter. And now that he's rich and has a new house and car, he wants to remarry, but she'd rather stay in that small apartment alone, which is frustrating for Ji-yu, but Lu tries to cheer him up. She states that they shouldn't talk about these things and that he should hurry up and take a shower before he catches a cold. Taking a shower, he wonders if Lu has been living alone all this time and he didn't know it. As he tries to find shower gel, he ponders whether Lu will stay if he asks her not to transfer schools. After getting out of the shower, Ji-yu noticed that the living room was completely dark and wondered if the light was broken. While searching for Lu, she appears out of nowhere with a small cupcake in her hands and wishes him a happy birthday, asking him to make a wish. Ji-yu cries with gratitude and she kisses him for crying even though he's a man, stating that she made Xingwei cry like Ji-yu. She asks him to make a wish as the noodles she has prepared for him are getting cold. After eating the cold noodles, Lu asks him how they tasted, to which Ji-yu replies that they were great. He then asked her how she knew about his birthday, to which Lu replied that it was a secret. She asks him to close his eyes and forbids him to peek. Ji-yu reluctantly closes his eyes, wondering why it's necessary. Suddenly his chest starts to ache again, and when he opens his eyes, he notices a huge monster standing behind Lu, who holds out his birthday present to him. Ji-yu tells her to be careful. Despite his warning, the monster attacks her, and stabs Lu. Ji-yu is furious, punches the monster and rushes to Lu, saying he'll take her to the hospital. Lu loses consciousness and faints. The moment Ji-yu tells Lu that everything will be okay, he picks her up in his arms and starts running. But something strange is happening. As he begins to flee, his surroundings suddenly turn into a hospital where doctors are treating Lu and his memories become scrappy. He can't remember how he got there and what he's doing there. He asked the doctors to save her. It doesn't matter what it takes to make it happen. While Ji-yu is confused about what's going on around him, his uncle appears out of nowhere and asks if he has any solid object. Not understanding where the uncle came from, Ji-yu wonders why he needs the hard object. His uncle tells him that he needs something to support her arm to start the operation, and there is no other option. Ji-yu hands a Rubik's Cube and asks if it will fit. Suddenly, the uncle's appearance changes. When Ji-yu approaches his uncle to hand over the Rubik's Cube, a mysterious voice forbids him to do so. Ji-yu is confused. Uncle tells him to give him the cube as his friend is running out of time. Meanwhile, a mysterious voice tells him that it's all just an illusion, and with that he remembers that his uncle was supposed to go to Shanghai on a business trip, and when asked about it the uncle, who has now turned literally into a monster, approaches him to grab the cube, but the mysterious voice tells him to step back. A girl appears out of nowhere. She pushes the monster away with her foot and cuts it in half with a knife. The surroundings transformed again, but this time all he could see was a golden tree, some distance away from which was a girl. She tells him that what he sees may not be real, but fear trumps reality. Bewildered by it all, Ji-yu is unable to understand what is happening. Ji-yu questions her about it. He literally bombards her with questions related to the monster and why they attacked them. He asks her about Lu and where she is, but the girl constantly ignores his questions. She tells him to be quiet as the clock warns her of an unknown creature while they are talking. Under their feet, they notice a huge eye. Gu gets goosebumps running with fear. The girl warns him that there is something behind them, and when Ji-yu turns to look at her he sees a strange monster appear out of the water and attack him. He starts to panic and the girl tells him again that it is all an illusion. As the monster approaches her, she feels the aura of death. She somehow manages to dodge it. She snatches the knife and after cutting the monster with it, realizes they are being attacked by the ghost. When the clock warns her of the spirit erosion, reflects that if she continues to fight the ghost, her spirit would eventually invade the illusionist. Meanwhile, the horde of monsters has surrounded them completely. And when one of them approaches to attack her, she feels the strong aura of death and wants to defeat him here. But to her surprise, the monster slips past her, and she realizes that Ji-yu was the target all along. The girl somehow manages to save him and hit the monster, but after hitting the monster, she realizes that his real body is hidden inside these phantom monsters, and to destroy it, she must defeat all three monsters. Monsters emerge from the water and approach her. She dodges their attacks, observing them and their deadly auras, and comes to the conclusion that her real body moves from one body to another. With no other choice, she pulls out another knife and decides to go all the way. She completely destroys the monsters, while the clock warns her of the progressing spiritual erosion of the degree. The girl ignores this and continues to massacre the monsters when her spiritual erosion has reached 100%. She falls to her knees. He rushes to her, asking if she's okay, and then a huge monster appears out of the ground. At that moment, the girl opens her eyes, which seems slightly different than before, and a mysterious creature appears from behind her ear. She grabs the monster by the neck, and the mysterious creature completely devours the monster. The surroundings return to normal and Ji-yu realizes that he has been in the parking lot all this time, while the creature spits out the monster's eye, and the girl realizes that the evil entity was actually an eye. Ji-yu tries to wake Lu up and calms her down. He tells her he's going to take her to the hospital. As he's taking Lu away, another girl gets up and attacks Ji-yu from behind, rendering him unconscious. When he wakes up, he notices that he is in a strange place, a massive wall with a mysterious man in a cloak sitting next to it. Ji-yu wonders if he's awake. He tries to understand what is going on. This strange man completely ignores his question and then asks if he wants to climb the wall. He starts floating and lands on top of a wall. He asks the guy in the cape about this place, to which he replies that it's the end of the world. Ji-yu asks about who he is. This time the guy tells him he's a grave guard. Then puzzles Ji-yu, and he asks about the grave, to which the guy says that this grave belongs to an old friend of his, and he doesn't mind them standing on it. The man asks him to send him back, but the man confuses him by asking him about the place he wants to go back to. As he was about to speak, he realized that he had forgotten something important, and suddenly a memory came flooding back. He remembers that he has to save Lu, but as soon as he looks at his hand, it is completely covered in blood. Guy says that this world is about to be covered in blood, except that Power declares that he must return and that they will meet again. Ji-yu wakes up in his bed covered with a sheet. Some time passed after the incident, and the police concluded that it was a robbery. He can't believe that everything he experienced was just a dream and calls the police officer in charge of the case and asks about developments in the case. The officer says he will contact the girl's family if there is any progress. As usual, getting to school, he notices that the students around him are gossiping about Lu's incident and spreading strange rumors about the guy they suspect to be involved. Ji-yu casts a cold glance at them and walks to her classroom, where a cheerful guy sits during class. Toph asks about the progress of the case, which irritates Ji-yu as he refuses to give him any information about the case. However, the guy provokes him further by asking him what they did after they got off the bus, and meanwhile the teacher appears and forbids them from talking during class, after which he motivates the whole class by saying that despite this incident they should focus on their studies as their future depends on it. Police officers who arrived at the scene took Ji-yu to the police station where they questioned him about the incident, according to CCTV footage. The officer asks him if he really doesn't remember anything and tells him that he brought Lu to the hospital where doctors are currently treating her. When Ji-yu asks the doctors about her condition and whether she will ever wake up, the doctor tells him that Lu's situation is very rare and the chances of her waking up are very slim. Meanwhile, after class is over, his teacher comes up to him and tries to motivate him by telling him that he shouldn't worry too much. During the conversation, Ji-yu receives a message from an unfamiliar number asking him to meet her at the hospital. He immediately realizes that it is the mysterious girl and rushes to Lu's room after reaching the hospital. In Lu's room, he runs into a girl who tells him he has 3 minutes. Without wasting a moment, Ji-yu asks questions. When asked about Lu's condition and whether she could be cured, the girl said no. Behind him, she tells him that Lu was bitten by the disciple of death, and there is no cure for the bite. When asked about these disciples of death, who they are and why they attack Lu, the girl replies that she herself doesn't know the reasons for this attack. Upon hearing this, Ji-yu says that he knows she specializes in assassinations, so how come she doesn't know? The girl tells him that they keep trying to control these monsters and keep them away from humanity, but their knowledge is very limited. Moreover, she tells him that these disciples of death are classified as microbes that create hallucinations by altering light rays, and that they aren't as simple as viruses. Then she tells him about an incident that happened in Star City not too long ago. She tells him that the blood-red floating substances have gained some sort of intelligence, coming together from an unconscious and fragmented state, infiltrated the Security Bureau's database and used it to find their target, which makes you wonder if he was their target. The girl, however, tells him that they still aren't sure if he was their target or not. It all made no sense to Ji-yu, because if he was the target, then why did the monster attack Lu? The girl tells him that his 3 minutes are up and holds out a huge syringe to him. When asked about which, the girl replies that this syringe contains some sort of toxins that can instantly kill a person, leaving them in shock. Furthermore, she claims that anyone infected by a student of death will eventually die, turning into a student of death. She asks him to end it on his own, otherwise someone else will do it, and then Lu will be much more hurt. Ji-yu tells the girl that she wants to trick him like a 3-year-old and claims that she doesn't believe in this death disciple stuff. He throws away the syringe and warns her not to touch Lu as suddenly his body stops responding. He falls to his knees in front of the girl. Despite all of this, he is adamant that he will not kill Lu by using a syringe. This makes the girl angry and she smashes his face into the ground. Ji-yu loses consciousness. Then he walks out of the hospital with a syringe in his hand. He thinks about the fact that maybe this is really the only option, to give Lu a shot. Wrapped up in all these thoughts, he subconsciously goes to Lu's house.